Hey, everybody, welcome back into the Horseshoe Lounge in beautiful Columbus, Ohio. It is time for the live show at Roosters. It's a fun, casual joint. Ohio State is 10-0. They beat Indiana 56-14 in a normal one. And we're going to break it down, as we always do, Monday at Roosters with Justin Zwick, Bobby Carpenter, and Nicole Cox is back.
Hey.
And why wait? She's got a Buckeye leaf.
She can't wait to get to it.
We'll talk about the game as a whole after this, but Nicole's going straight into the Buckeye leaves.
He rejected your Buckeye.
She
leaf.
can't.
Oh no! Don't tell her that.
No. So I rewatched this particular part of the game 3 times this morning at like 5:30.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah. And just bawling my eyes out. I've never seen anything so. I could like cry right now talking about it. Just incredible. Like incredible from every aspect for a player, Kamryn Babb, who has suffered injury after injury after injury. He was highly recruited.
He was.
And so
he might be the best athlete in the receiver room. Even still.
I can't get over how to watch every one of those players, how they ran up to him, that it shows how much of a difference you can make even if you're not out on that field. You know, it's not, you don't always have to be the person out on the field making the plays. I mean, he just must be such a leader in, you know, the locker room, in, you know, practices. And it was like, it just kept going on and on. The cameras kept panning over and people were still just hugging him. And it was incredible. It was absolutely incredible. And I give Coach Day so much credit for there's so much going on. You know, you're focused on winning a game. There's so many moving parts. And for them to take the time to realize, let's try and make this happen, to like get his first touchdown, career touchdown, is I just have so much respect for that too. Like it shows that they're not too busy to remember how important it is to take care of the people that might not have gotten the chances everyone else has. I mean, you guys, it was just unbelievable. And the announcers, sorry, I'm almost done. But I mean,
keep going.
Go, yeah.
It was a special moment.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, the announcers were saying they were getting emotional. They were like, people say, you know, there's so much stuff going on with college football. And they were like, but this is what it's about. And it is. It really is. I mean, you could just feel the passion through the TV. It was incredible.
4 ACLs and a broken
It's
leg.
just, man.
I mean,
Can you imagine?
No.
Man, oh, man.
I'm not coming back from the first one. Me personally. Like, I'm good here. 4 times plus a broken leg.
Plus, he's had like other minor things. Like,
We picked
he had a knee scope this year. That
wasn't a full tear. It was a partial tear again in August in training camp, which is why it's taken 2.5 months for him to get back out there. And you think, well, that has to be it. When it happened again in August,
like right before, I mean, it was, I don't know if it was
the middle of camp.
It was like, well, like middle end. Like I feel like he'd kind of gotten through.
Yeah,
looked really
and
good.
People were excited about it because it was fun. You know, it was like, kind of big year.
I remember seeing that. I was like, oh, I about threw up that day on the field watching that. Everyone was saddened for him, and thankfully, honestly, and he was like undeterred. All right, let's get back to work. I'm like, you don't even know what it is yet. Like, you told me I tore another ACL, man. They just say, knock me out.
He knows that process pretty well. Let's get back to it.
Knock me out on the table and just leave me there. I mean, but Cam's an awesome kid, man. A young man. Like watching him grow from like he graduated high school, now being here, 4 years? Does he have 2 years? Does he have this year and another year?
He could get 2 years because of COVID, and he could apply for a 7th year with the medical redshirt. I think it's unlikely. I know some people have asked about that.
What do you mean? I mean,
because
if he doesn't qualify for a 7th or 8th, maybe one per year. I don't know.
Because we're talking about the same organization that refused to give the former walk-on and CJ Saunders, a walk-on and graduate CJ Saunders, an extra year for a medical reason. And I think, I'm just saying this based on that experience and the fact that they would have to give him both COVID and a medical exemption. I think they'll say, you're basically already getting that.
One, yeah.
So he could get one more.
But he can come back for at least one more.
One more. So he would have at least one more. Okay. So, that's up to him, what he wants to do. I told him the next goal is to see if he can catch more touchdowns than ACLs. So we've got 4. We got 1 down. We got 4 to go.
Yeah.
Get that in the bag. Be able to get it done. But it is honestly like Urban used to talk about the testament of the human spirit.
That's right.
The competitive stamina, all those different things, these cliche, all this stuff. And it's easy for us to sit here. And I joked with Cam, I'm like, I've probably spent more time with him in the weight room than many of his teammates have on the field.
Right.
And that's like not a joke. It's the fact that he's in there every year. I'm like, during the season, just would see him working all the time, relentlessly, with Adam Stewart, the great physical therapist at Ohio State, and all the stuff he does, and just undeterred. And, you know, he's has a very strong faith about him. I think that was kind of forged through this entire process. And the best part is, like, the celebration of his teammates wanting that for him, that's, to me, I know to Nicole's point, that's what college athletics is all about. We talk about NIL and transfer portal, college football playoff and realignment, and all these things, like, it's not great. But then you see that, and you, like, pause it for a moment, and you could freeze that moment in time. And whether it was 1950 or 2022, it would not have made a difference when you have people that are connected that way and you want to see someone have success so bad. And to see them finally have it, the ability to share in that with them is an unbelievable process.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And it's almost like you're watching the game and you don't even realize, and they're like, oh, hey, I know that guy. You know, I know that name. He's like, because, you know, they bring people in and out and he catches one.
He's always on the
It's just like, it's just like, all right, boom. Got scored again. Oh, this is cool, you know, and then it started to happen because you just hear about the kid. He's got the Block O jersey on, you know, just how important he is to this team, to the facility, or to the culture of the team and everything like that. So, I mean, you root for those guys, right, Bob? I mean, the ones that are just going through it, man, and you know they're going through it because you don't ever want to have something like that, and they've done it 3 or 4 or 5 times. I mean, it was really a neat thing. So I'm glad he was able to get in there, and even wearing his knee brace outside of his pants. I mean, just like, how do you do anything athletically if you were that guy? I mean, just mentally, like, you would just be so scared I got to go cut and go out that way. Like, is it going to hold up?
It's like a full-sized offensive line knee brace that he's wearing out there.
It's the real deal, but, man, it was special.
Yeah, I think, you know, the Block O part, there was no other option for this team. Yeah. And C.J. Stroud brought this up after the game, like, he's not just a leader for this current group. Like, it's been going on for 5 years. Like, the guys that you could go back, like Chase Young, like, having an impact and, like, being around Kamryn Babb. Like, it goes back years. And the other part that's unique about it is that you've seen guys deal with injuries, and the Johnny Dixon, you know, process comes to mind for that. You think about magical moments for walk-ons, C.J. Saunders, or you know, X Johnson against Notre Dame. Like, that's not what Cam Babb is. He was a 4-star recruit, and, you know, C.J. Stroud had said a year ago, who's the best wide receiver on this team? Like, when they're all healthy, it's Kamryn Babb. That would be the name that he said. Think about everybody else in that room. It's high-level potential that had been taken away from him for so many times over and over and over. And I don't know what it means moving forward for him. You know, maybe he needed to get past the mental hurdle, you know, to be confident out there and go make more cuts, and now he's done it in a game, and that could happen more moving forward. I don't know. Yeah. We also know what his injury history is. But even if he only gets that one opportunity, that won't make it any less special.
No.
He is. It's just incredible, you guys. And I think it speaks so much on the case of what I'm always saying about just how these players are just as important as the ones that are on the field. You know, they just are. And I just think that they create the culture back there. And to see how many of those teammates and everyone, how highly they think of him. And I've personally never seen him on the field, you know, and I don't go to practices, so I honestly didn't really know of him. And it just speaks so highly. He just is incredible. And the fact that he works that hard, it does show. Hard work does pay off. It's not paying off the way he wants it to necessarily, but everybody else is definitely, they admire him for it. You know?
So guys like him, everybody talks about culture, and I know Nicole, you guys talk about it, Roosters here and the great culture. Everybody, teams, elite organizations, any type of group, they talk about culture. Everyone wants to have a good culture. No one wants to have a bad culture. But so oftentimes I go, what is culture? I'll do some different leadership stuff. What is culture? Can you define it? No bad culture when you see it. Like, when I show up someplace and it's bad, I don't like it. And it's like, well, how do you get a good culture? Well, Cam Babb is a culture creator. And he's someone who acts the way that you want everybody in your organization to act. And he has a personality as such that it's infectious, and everybody looks to him. And so when you have an example like that, it's easy for other people to fall in line and become, you know, the example that Cam Babb has set. And that, I think, right there, when Ryan talks about, you know, having culture and all these different things, and you wonder, like, what does that really mean? Like, watching that happen, there's a lot of schools where that might not be the case. Either A, Cam Babb might not have the encouragement the desire to continue to move on. He may not have the opportunity to continue to move on through it. And other guys may not care as much about him as they do here.
Right.
And so when you have those things and you bring in a guy like that, and that's why you try to recruit high-quality people, because those are the things that can happen. And maybe that might be a defining moment for this team. We have no idea. Moving forward, maybe not necessarily for the play, but for watching somebody do that, the inspiration that will give everyone else as they go down the stretch here. The guys have to play through some injuries. They have to be tough. They have to do these things. And that might be, the kind of the shining light to be able to kind of guide it.
It did put a cap on a 56-14 win over Indiana. Just about what everybody expected. The spread was 40. Great teams, Bob. What do?
Cover the spread.
Cover the spread. Nicole,
in the money.
You weren't here to give your score prediction. Did I give it wrong? You had a much tighter game, I think, last week.
I did.
Nicole had been. She was
shell-shocked by the Northwestern game.
I told you, after that run I had going, I knew it was over. I just knew. I just knew it was. And that's
like every good bettor, they know the run is over.
Yeah, so that's why she didn't show up. She's like, Austin's going to lie about my score prediction.
Yeah,
he made it up. I'm putting the onus on him.
That did cross my mind. I was like, I don't want people to think I'm not showing up because of that.
That's not right. What did you think of the win, Nicole? How much value and stock do you put on a bounce back effort like that? The weather was not great, but it didn't phase the Buckeyes, so it wasn't windy. They can handle the snow, I guess.
It was. We looked great, and just like I've said before, each game everybody learns a little bit more. I think that the offensive line looked. There was a play with, I think I wrote it down, Xavier Johnson, his 71-yard touchdown.
Yeah.
I was more impressed with the offensive linemen blocking. They were right behind him, and I was very impressed with him as well, how he just knew to cut, you just don't see it run that smoothly that often, but they were all there doing their job so that he could make it to the end zone, and it looked great. Yeah. It looked really, really good.
Marvin Harrison downfield.
Yeah. Downfield, big-time receiver down there. That's
Mitch Rossi going to get some extra bodies.
That's all part of the culture stuff, though. The guy that has, 7 for 140 yards and a touchdown is out there blocking for a guy who, in a lot of programs, who's a walk-on, and Xavier Johnson, this dude's beneath me. He's the one that blocks for me doing things. But he's blocking his butt off because it's his teammate, and that's how much they care about each other, which is a testament to Brian Hartline, especially those guys in that room and how hard they work for each other.
It does, guys. It speaks so highly of the Ohio State culture. And I know that we've talked about that before, but I think this past game just really, really showed just how incredible the culture is.
All right, let's take Kamryn Babb out of the equation for some more Roosters Buckeye leaves. I know Nicole had all of that planned for Kamryn Babb, so I'm going to make her dig deeper into the numbers.
Ooh, dig deep.
I didn't tell her that she was going to have to
put her on the spot,
so let's see who else she can. And she just had Xavier Johnson, so I'm actually really making her work here.
I did, yeah. I kind of just said him, but I did put on here Marvin Harrison Jr. too with the block, just because it goes to the culture. I'm always picking the culture. Yeah. The culture in the
culture is the culture, Nicole.
The standard.
I agree with that, Bobby. I agree with that. That's why the standard is the standard.
That's right.
Yep.
About Kamryn Babb, he's not on the field making sure there's wins. It's not always about that, and that's what I loved that Ohio State did this week. They just thought about something more than the fans, than the spreads, than the politics and the money behind college football. They thought about their players, and giving him that moment in life, and I think that gets everybody pumped up. I don't know if you guys watched the game on TV, if you were there, but watching it on TV was incredible. They kind of stopped talking about the game and just kept focusing on Kamryn Babb,
Yeah.
But
You're supposed to talk about Indiana at that point.
Yeah, at that point in time, they were like, yes, something else to talk about. This team is terrible.
Embrace a magic moment. You give them
100%.
credit for maybe recognizing that. I don't know. I know Bill and I were sitting in the press box, and he wasn't watching what was going on. He kept the binoculars on the celebration and watching all that because it rarely happens. And you want to know how long it goes and who gets the most hugs and what you can learn from that. So
that's all I can see, guys. That's all I can see in this game. So I've given you everyone. I think I have. I don't know. I was really impressed by that Xavier Johnson, Marvin Harrison play. I just felt like it was incredible teamwork and just everybody knowing where they needed to be.
Well, you said you were grinding through the film at 5:30 on a Monday morning.
Yeah, 5:30 on a Monday morning.
I thought you'd be able to answer the challenge, and you did.
Well,
she did.
Like I said, 3 times I watched the Babb thing.
and I love how Marvin getting a block is better than that catch that he had on the sideline because, oh, my God.
Dude is
that was incredible.
Dude is an alien.
I mean, I tore my ACL watching that. Just watching him come down. Like, how do you do that? And knowing I got to put this one down first and stay in bounds and not get hurt. I mean, it was.
Because he catches like 300 balls a day.
Well,
I remember Chris Olave had.
I don't know how many times he's been in that position catching a ball. Someone taking his leg out.
They've got this new Magic Jugs machine. What's it
the
called?
Monarch.
The Monarch.
Monarch, is that right?
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, it's like Bluetooth. You just like yell, throw me the ball. And like, I mean,
the dude
okay.
is married to the Monarch.
Yeah.
he is.
You guys, do you think you could take me over there one time? I could just see these machines.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe try 'em
Sweet.
out. I think
Bob will put you through a workout in the weight room.
Hey, I'm all for it.
Yeah, let's do it. We should do a
Cruise training.
Why don't you?
we should do a little group workout.
I would love it.
Get Austin
guys.
and Berm,
Help me just
Bill
understand
getting
all
down
of
there.
this a little more.
Bob's got a thumbprint, so he can go anywhere he
can
wants
go.
in the building.
Oh,
Yeah.
jeez. About that, but
But he can get anywhere.
I'll just bring our catering order. I'll
Hey,
get right
Let's
through.
just
yes,
say,
that's
yeah,
right.
please,
Then I'll
chip?
take my uniform off.
They got
with my
chips there.
workout clothes. Yeah.
I will not
It's
work
like-
out at all. I will eat chips the
it's
entire
like
time.
Ocean's 11. All you got to do is show up there with a Rooster's bag, like
Yeah,
a tray.
yeah.
And those, go ahead.
Come on in.
Next
Come
thing
on
you're
in.
in the air ducts and you're going through wherever you want.
You
Slide
guys,
away.
Every time I've delivered the catering order there for the coaches, all I
Has
think
anyone ever
about-
stopped you and like, I need to see some ID?
No, they're all
No,
they're
come
all
on in.
so
Oh, yeah,
sweet.
come
What do you
They're
got
all so
today?
great.
Oh, that's right. It's Roosters, an official sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Someone's gonna
so
steal-
they let them right
Someone's going to steal Jerry's donkey wings.
Which has happened multiple.
I
Is
know.
it you, Bobby?
It's not me. I found out
It was
about
Berm, maybe.
it. It was the great
You
story
guys-
of all
Is
time.
it Berm a
Eric-
donkey guy?
Eric took a picture of it and said, "Nicole, I left it right at the end of the table. I sent it to Jerry.
The
Still went
coaches
missing. Still went missing."
That's hilarious.
I said,
like-
you know what you need to do is put it in a pan of donkey wings sometimes, and then watch who goes and gets them.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That'll be it. Like,
It's
what
bait.
other person here goes and gets them?
I couldn't believe it. I was like, "What is going on?" I was like, "Jerry, I swear we're not forgetting about you." But do you guys ever think about when you go in there how long that hallway is? And my nightmare would be if a trainer was like, "You need to do lunges all the way down the hallway," because as we carry the catering bag, you start to sweat. Like
yeah.
you
Oh,
can't
it's the
wear a
length of
coat
the- yeah.
even if it's cold. It is the longest hallway,
Yeah.
and our trainer used to make us do lunges like down the hallway. I was like, "This would be a nightmare."
About 100 yards, probably, right? I
It
mean,
is
starts
100
right
yards.
up there by
I
the
asked.
yeah.
I asked as I was sweating and like carrying the order. I was like, "I really need."
They
work
make
on
you
this.
carry the order, man.
No,
You got tray,
I
you got
did
tray.
it. It was
the
fun.
guys over there
Yeah.
need to be
I have like a
bringing that in
dolly.
for you.
Yeah.
No, actually, the coaches were really sweet. It was only me one day. We had a big catering order for Amazon, and they came and were like helping me. I mean, that's really nice. They didn't need to do that. It was just very, very.
But they
nice.
wanted the food, so they would have.
Yeah,
let's-
they were doing.
They're like,
it really
you need help?
nice.
We're
Get it
hungry
moving.
here. Yeah, let's
get
go.
it moving, Nicole. We got things to do. We got a game plan for Maryland.
I had it in there today. It smelled good. Whenever they leave the door of the weight room open, it's terrible because
Mm.
it smells like roosters in there. And I don't like to be hungry while I'm working out.
I know that's
Lose
terrible.
distractions. It's distraction. I think there's a lot of places you could go with the Buckeye leaves on this. I mean, I could go with my guys, Steele and Tommy, for just being great. Lathan from bouncing back after getting pulled to get special teams and defensive player of the week. You go with my guy Jack Sawyer. People are like, where's Jack?
We
Where's
got
Jack?
a real Schleg
Where-
situation.
where's
going
Jack?
over
People are
here.
like, where's Jack Sawyer? Where's the productivity? I'm like, oh, you got a sack and a half. So there you go. I mean, I looked at all this. I'm like,
That's a half sack.
well, and they kind of
If
combined
two
it.
guys,
Two
got
dudes
it.
at the same
Two
time.
dudes are hanging on one dude
Yeah.
at the same time, trying
Half
to get him
sack.
down.
So, I mean, they like to spread
Got
the
it.
wealth a little bit. So, I mean, there was just, I looked at the defense who was about giving up 50% almost on third downs last week. Now back to, were they 3 of 17 or whatever, back down to their,
Mhm.
a little
their-
bit better.
Yes,
Yeah,
and
it's
much,
bad.
much better. And the offense was back to where they normally were. I'm going to go with Jack, though, just because, I think there was an expectation of a lot of productivity. And then, Zach Harrison's played really well. JT has played really, really well. I'm thinking, okay, well, what happened to Zach? I'm like, that's kind of how it works. Guys, they start blocking other people, and all of a sudden, like, those things kind of come in bunches. And so to see that happen for him, that was great. I really want to give it to Lathan, too, because he got pulled last week for missing some tackles and then comes back and plays awesome. And the culture is the culture, Nicole. When you get pulled out of a game for not performing to the level that you needed to be playing, because the standard is the standard, you fail to meet, we're going to take you out, and you're not going to be able to
Standard in the culture.
Yeah, you're not going to go over there and get in the corner and cry and be sad dog, sad clown. You're going to say, hey, how do I get better? What do I need to do? Hey, coach, they're going to give me another chance. I need to be ready to go. And it's a learning experience. And so he had that and then comes back and poof, unbelievable game.
Yeah. I love how the coaches are not afraid to do that this year. Where it's like, hey, you're not tackling. get over here and stand next to me. We're going to let somebody else go in and do
that. And then
then we're going to let you get back in the fold. Yeah, we're not mad at you. We're just, hey, we got to reevaluate. We got to, do better. This person's going to go out, but you're going to be back in. Don't worry about it. I think that's been great with this defense this year. I'll go ahead and I'm going to give mine to the offensive line because I think
played well.
Not that was a defense, it was a juggernaut. We're going to be hard to run against, but they came out and did what they were supposed to do. And I think that's what we were looking at the Northwestern game saying, all right, let's go, get going, guys. And they didn't. The weather and everything else, that is what it is. This week they did what they had to, and I thought mine ran great. He had the most yards at half, I think, that he's ever had, 147.
Yeah.
So they were opening holes, and they were doing it, and they continued to do it in the second half. The Xavier run, we could have run through that maybe, one of us, there's some room to run. Maybe not after the initial 5 yards, but yeah, maybe not after that. But
the sticks.
But they did what they had to do, and I think that's important going forward here in the next couple of weeks that they have confidence, that they're feeling good about themselves, and that they're going out there and mauling people.
I'm going to give my Roosters Buckeye leaf to Larry Johnson.
Really?
Yeah.
I like this.
If you're going to be critical of something that you don't agree with, then you should be fair when you see things that are much better. And his unit is playing at a very productive level. I thought it was encouraging. Maybe the starters played too much on Saturday, Bob. I'm just joking about that. I'm not going the other direction. I tried that on Bill in the press box. He's like, you should say that. And I'm like, fine, I will. But I'm not going to play both sides of it. They were, JT and Zach, I think it was the first 4 drives. They were out there consistently. They got a bunch of stops. They put the game away. Guess what? You can sub after that. Whatever his approach is, he's going to do what he wants to do. He's got Jack Sawyer, as you mentioned, Bob, playing much better. You know what Teron Vincent's been doing. The real challenge is obviously November 26th. We know that. But you look one week after another, Zach Harrison is doing something pretty epic, and then JT has one of the greatest games of all time. Then Jack Sawyer the next week has a sack and a half. So these guys are generating pass rush. That helps the entire defense collectively. And so Larry Johnson still getting results.
Yeah. I like it.
Imagine
I like
that.
it too.
Yeah. And so those are this week's Roosters Buckeye leaves. Berm's going to give one later on. We have some onion feathers right here.
Roosters feathers.
Roosters onion feathers.
Shake your tail.
Did they change the name of the sauce, Nicole?
No, it's like the spicy.
I thought it was like pluckin' sauce.
Pluckin'
It is
sauce.
Plucky sauce.
Yeah.
Pluckin'?
I just didn't know if it was too risky to say that with Bob on the
Pluckin'?
show.
No, listen, keep it between the lines.
With Bob on the show, yeah.
The pluckin' sauce, it's
so
good.
good.
It's
It's a
good
really
for
good
here,
sauce.
and it's good for at home. It's good everywhere.
It is.
And these look delicious. They're crispy. They're breaded. They're so tasty, warm on the inside.
They are really good.
I really enjoy
yummy.
them.
I like them.
In my tummy.
$2
on
featured
Tuesday.
appetizer.
Yes,
all
on
day long.
Tuesday. And guys, so
How
today,
great is it that we have the supply chain tightened up too, to where Nicole doesn't have to
Don't-
give me these 85
Yeah.
asterisks available,
Knock on wood.
possibly, maybe, but
Yeah.
not
We're done with
you know,
that part.
knock on wood.
Knock
guys.
on wood,
Knock
yes.
on wood. But today I'm going to pick our Week 10 Bowl Trip
Oh,
winners.
yes.
Ooh,
Yep.
that's right.
And then,
2 times left.
yeah.
Oh
so
my
then,
gosh.
No.
only
Did you guys
2 more
run out of the
times.
QR code
Yep,
napkins?
they must have.
Because
yeah.
everyone's
Went black.
black. Make sure that you can scan
We've
them at
gone through
home.
a ton of them, yeah.
So
So you can
took
just
'em
go to roosterswings.com to register. But yeah, only 2 more
2
chances.
times.
So what do they win if they
That's a great question,
go to
Jason.
register? Bob, do you know?
Yes, hold on. You get a pair of tickets.
Oh.
You get airfare to the game,
Jeez.
deluxe
Whoa.
hotel accommodation.
Deluxe.
Deluxe hotel accommodation, some Roosters swag.
Jeez.
There's going to be other gifts and winners. You can have all kinds of things. Go to roosterswings.com to register, or they used to have the QR
They
codes.
used to.
So I think Berm's actually hoarding them at his house. So you can go over there so you can scan them in. Register. You get 2 more opportunities,
That's
folks,
right.
to go to the Buckeye Bowl game. I mean, it's looking
Probably
like it
going
might
to be somewhere
pretty good.
nice, right?
I mean, if I have it my way, it'll be out in Tempe, or I guess
Glendale.
Glendale now. I'd prefer they actually played it in Tempe still, but
Yes.
it'll be in Glendale, hopefully, if we win our next couple games.
Yeah, if they take care of business, it will almost certainly be back in Glendale. And a week at the Camelback sounds pretty good to the media here. We're all in favor of that. Nicole, the current point spread, Saturday, 3:30 against Maryland, is 25 points.
I did 52-10.
52
to 10.
The only thing, their offense can score a little
They
bit.
can score.
Yeah,
They're healthy.
They did put up 10 points in the last two games combined, so
They
that's
didn't
pretty good.
score.
Earlier in the year,
Don't let that lull you to sleep.
Yeah.
They can put up some points.
Earlier in the year, they were
They
scoring
did.
more
They were
points.
scoring a lot more earlier.
scored a lot.
Which I feel they do every year, right? They're one of those teams that starts out like, oh man, their offense is pretty good, and then it
That's-
starts
and
to
then they
trail
get
off.
worse.
That's crazy. Is it like a Mike Loxley team gets worse as the season
You hate
goes
that,
on?
man.
That's crazy. Has that ever happened before? Or is this an aberration
I mean,
for the Terps?
it might have happened before.
Yeah, huh. Well, I don't know anything
It happens
about
to a
that.
lot of Big Ten teams, though, in my opinion.
Maybe. 52-10 Nicole has.
Yes.
She's got a full week ahead. She's going to pull some Roosters, bowl trip giveaway.
Yes.
And
Today.
Big day today.
Make sure that every Roosters location has some onion feathers for Tuesday.
That's right.
what she's
That's
up to.
not my job,
Okay.
but I'll work on it.
All right. We're going to let her go back to her job. We're going to bring Berm in. We're going to continue on with the live show in the Horseshoe Lounge at Roosters. It's a fun, casual joint.
Roosters has been so fortunate. We just want to be able to give some of that back to the community.
They donate to organizations that are near and dear to their heart, and we're so fortunate to have been with Roosters now for a long time.
They always go above and beyond to help support our foundation to further help veterans.
It's just a wonderful feeling to know that Roosters supports the Buckeye Cruise for Cancer.
All the folks at Roosters are just genuinely kind folks, and they want to make a difference.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Thank you, Roosters.
Thank you, Roosters.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Welcome back into the Horseshoe Lounge at Roosters. Berm's here.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, Berm.
Hello.
Hi, everybody.
Dr.
It's yours. Hi, everybody.
That's pretty good, Berm. We need to work some more voices in here.
That's what the people want.
Gotta give
So
it
he's
to
been
him.
cooking it up.
People
Hey,
love it.
Do some Gilbert Godfrey real quick.
Gilbert Godfrey, R.I.P.
How's he doing?
He did pass away.
Let's talk Buckeye Leafs.
Yeah.
Josh Fryer.
Yeah.
Hey,
Incredible game at right tackle, and a guy that's been waiting, and another guy that had to fight back through some injury.
You call him the Benny Bardonez.
Yeah, I don't know what that means, but
I've
I
been
bet
waiting.
it's good. But I bet it's good because Josh was a guy that in the spring Ohio State
So
really
long.
believed was potentially one of the best 5 offensive linemen on the roster.
But
Himself.
where do you jam him in there?
Well, he
with
got
those two
hurt.
tackles?
He had the knee injury himself that he had to fight back through, and now you start to see him come back. And the offensive line
Looked good.
I'm just saying that the running.
I'm not
lanes
saying,
were
but I'm just saying.
a little bit more open on the right side of the line on Saturday than I've seen him in a few weeks. And I'm not saying that's all on Josh Fryer. I'm not saying that's anything. I'm just saying.
Just pointing it out. Just pointing out how big the holes on the right side of the offensive line
it
were
was
this week.
interesting to note that.
I think that might be a little motivation for Juwan.
Yeah,
big
you
fan
see the
of.
backup go in and
Get him go, play well. I mean, obviously, that wasn't quite the caliber of an Iowa or up front, but
100%.
I think that does because Fryer's been their extra tight end too. And what I would like to see, I love watching. One of my favorite things about, I just lost the movie with Ben Affleck up in
Good Will Hunting.
no
Geely.
not Geely either. The one up in Charlestown,
The Town.
the town
the town.
is when
What a movie.
when you get murdered in your own shop.
Uh-huh.
Come back here and kill your own shop. So I enjoy the irony of people getting beat in a manner of which they're trying to beat you.
Ooh.
And so I would like to see maybe Michigan week, maybe a little Josh Fryer out there, get Cade Stover, go like a little 12T, extra tackles, some big personnel.
That's all well and good if you're willing to throw out of that formation.
You can
just so
throw.
you
Oh,
say.
and I think you can.
Yeah,
You
you
throw out of
can.
it.
Kate certainly, he's 2 touchdowns away now from tying the school record for most tight end touchdowns in a season.
How terrible is that? I hope that happens just so we can make
What
fun
are you
of
talking about terrible? Huh? Get out of here.
No, just so we can
We've had
laugh.
some awesome tight ends come through
We
here.
have had awesome tight ends.
They
but we
haven't
just-
caught touchdown
And
passes.
all of them are like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
How is this guy getting into it?
One
He was
year-
playing D or linebacker at the beginning of the year.
I watched him in the Rose Bowl
Yeah.
play some linebacker.
But they wouldn't throw to me?
But you think about it, they could have potentially 5 games left, right? I mean, this is an opportunity for Cade to blow that record out if he can pass 7.
Oh,
Who has it?
If you remember,
It's Ricky Dudley.
Ricky Dudley,
and
and
I
then-
think it's a tie.
Ben Hartsock?
No.
not
He
even
played
close.
for a long time. Though.
Not even
It's-
close.
We loved Wash
His
Shallow.
career.
We loved
It's
Wash
an
Shallow.
older- It's
Yeah,
an
it's
older guy.
someone back in the 80s.
Maybe not John Frank.
I think it is.
It might be.
He has some of them.
Dudley had Dudley was the last first round pick at tight end for Ohio State in 1996 in that draft. But and then Lathan Ransom on defense. I don't know if you guys mentioned him because I'm trying really hard not to listen to you guys when you're talking,
Yeah.
so I don't like
Lathan.
Wow.
Lathan played a great game. And
The first half of the show was great. You missed
I'm
it.
sure it was, but I like to watch it later. I don't want to I don't want to co-opt.
I only watch up to when you come on when I go home and watch it. So
I
whatever.
I don't want to co-opt your arguments or your points. So I just try to tune you out. But Lathan, not because he played well on Saturday, but because he played poorly the week before and was pulled out of the game against Northwestern and came back and played his best game of the year. So to me, again, I did hear you guys talking about culture. And when you ask what that really is, to me, it's this continued thing we've seen in the secondary all year. These guys having a bad moment, come back in, and then you see Josh Proctor out there doing, Josh Proctor could have said, hey, I'm not going to take any more special teams reps. I want to go play somewhere else next year. Redshirt me. He didn't. He's out there every week playing special teams, doing things. So
super engaged in practice.
Yeah,
like Josh has grown miles.
Yeah, I also don't think that Josh has any desire to play another year of college football. But
maybe not. But he also doesn't have to play here this year if he didn't want to. So it's great to just see those guys. And so Lathan for that reason, and Josh, Fryer, who I have been on the Fryer train for a couple of years, and I continue to conduct.
Fryer, I don't even know her, Berm.
She's a nice gal.
I believe that.
Benny Barzano. What did you say his name was?
Benny Bardonez.
Benny Bardonez.
Is
that Maglio Ordonez's brother?
I've been waiting
so long. Yep. So
I still don't understand the reference.
If you heard the song, you would then
waiting
understand.
for a girl like you.
Waiting.
Oh, that's the guy's name you sing?
Yeah, Into the Night is the name of the song, but the opening line is "I've been waiting."
I mean, I know that line. I just never really knew that.
And he's like looking through. He's like a middle-aged dude looking through a mirror at a girl who's like in high school, like
two-way mirror,
having dinner with her parents. They're like looking in like a window, not a mirror.
Oh, okay.
At the house, like creeping. It's it's a rainstorm outside.
Oh, it's even more creepy now.
Well, I liked the song, and then I saw the video. I'm like, oh, this is really creepy.
Look, man, the 80s were a weird time.
Yeah.
Some middle-aged dude checking out a high school girl eating dinner with her family.
I mean,
he's going to have to continue to wait.
I mean, did you see her in class? How do you know she was a high school girl? Is there a chance she could have been like a second year at the local
maybe
university?
living at home.
Maybe she was at community college and she was just living at home with mom and dad.
Let's just assume that Benny was like...
doing the right thing.
Yeah, let's not throw Benny.
He was her manager.
He was not doing the right thing. He was outside of her window.
R.I.P.
In a rainstorm.
Benny Mardonia's also passed away. So R.I.P.
Statute of limitations as well. Anyway.
Oh, God.
they're talking about statutory. Okay. We're good.
So now let's talk about football and the Ohio State Buckeyes football team.
Okay.
Oh.
So it doesn't feel like that was a game that you can nitpick a ton. Ryan Day did say afterwards that he was banging his head over the short yardage. Running game seems like a pretty easy fix to me, which is to actually throw the football. But I'm not a coach, so
I love that. No, but here's the thing: you're going to win the game whether you threw it in short yardage or not. Like, I want to come out here and we want to have coachable moments. It's great when you and he'll never admit this, and this is.
I think he's done it all year long.
But we're like practicing during games of things we want to get better at. It's like, well, you could just throw it there. Well, yeah, we could. I could throw him, just throw 5-yard slant to Marvin Harrison. It's good. Those guys have zero chance of.
We could spread everybody out, but no, we're going to put everybody in and see what happens.
I mean, you can literally go 22 personnel with one wide receiver. Be like, hey, are you going to cover him with two guys or one guy?
Yeah.
And if we're going to throw it to him.
That's what they've done in the past, right? Like that's what is in my head.
Because
like, Justin Fields to
this is a good time to get that for 2 weeks from now.
Have the option, have the ability, and it's great when you win a game and cover a 40-point number. 56-14, and it's 28-7.5. It was never really in doubt, ever. And you can come back in and throw the film on and still have bad coachable things that you can work on and be like, listen, I know you guys are over here playing grab ass and everybody's having a good time in film because we're kicking, oh, look at me, run that guy to the ground. Oh, this is awesome. Hey, what about this play right here, bucko? Yep. We need to get this stuff corrected and get it fixed. So we can talk about all these things now. It's all well and good, but there's still some teachable moments there, which I know the coaches ultimately love.
Yeah, I think they love it. I think he's done it the last few weeks of just trying to get that on film, show these guys what it's going to take. And it's also another thing of, all right, so Michigan, it's coming down to that game more than likely. So you think they have seen us do these third and shorts, not been good at them, so they're licking their chops a little bit, and then all of a sudden, it's third and short. We're not doing that anymore. We're going a different direction, and we're going to throw the ball.
Hannibal Lecter.
So, anyhow, I think it's...
Nice glass of Chianti?
Yeah, a little bit.
Fava beans.
Fava beans.
Interesting. I think that's correct.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see Jim Harbaugh.
Day admitted it, basically, post-game. He said, I may be...
I thought he's been doing it since Iowa.
He may be being stubborn.
Good. I like that.
I don't see any problem with it. I mean, the reality is, great teams get what they want even when the other team knows it's coming. Yeah. And right now they're not doing that in that particular area of the game, and that's where they want to be better. So if you want to be great, you better practice. And I have no problem
during the game.
Yeah, whatever.
During the game. Well, you're not hitting during the week.
Yeah,
a little bit. You'd be surprised.
Yeah.
I mean, they're and
Bloody Tuesday.
I don't think it's quite as bloody as it used to be. I mean, U2 has gone to the wayside. Bloody Sunday. I mean, the Bloody Tuesdays. But I do think this, like the emphasis on toughness. There's some inside run that's about as live as you're going to get for this point in the year, understanding what is coming at the end of the season. And so I respect the fact of having the foresight and not just ignoring it. Yeah, I've been around coaches before. I'm like, am I the only one that sees the problems here? I know that we can we're
not going to address this.
Doing this 100%. It's like, what are we doing? Eventually, we're going to have to do this, and someone's going to put us in a spot. And so we're just pretending like it's not a problem isn't a solution. It's only idiocy. And Ryan has attacked everything head on, which I respect the heck out of him for that.
So once you get 1 week away from the game, and both teams are in position that they need to be, 10-0, we know what's coming. We know that the stakes that are going to be attached to it. How do you not look ahead, Bob? What's the challenge in the Woody this week to make sure that there is focus on the mighty Maryland Terrapins?
I think you put up that press conference I saw Mike Loxley when he was looking. What's his name, Bill? Forrest Whitaker. You do the side-by-side. Like who wore it better? And you got the beard and maybe some clothes. I mean, Mike Loxley, I'm not sure, isn't Forrest Whitaker at this point. I would show some.
Did Forrest Whitaker ever punch anybody else on that was in the cast with him?
Probably.
No, that's probably more Alec Baldwin. I think he's probably done some of that. You know,
I'm just wondering how
shot him.
How deep the similarities go between Forrest Whitaker and Mike Loxley.
Oh, I don't
Friendly
know.
Fire. I don't.
Oh, I told you the friendly fire is more of a Baldwin thing. Okay. So we'll figure that out.
Well, Mike Loxley's on board with it. I can promise you.
That's good. Hey, you know what? I like an attitude. I like an edge. That's what you need at Maryland.
When you have a head coach who's also your wild card.
What is their record, by the way?
6-4. They are bowl eligible.
Hey.
Okay. So, and then who do they have? Penn State the line?
No, they just got beat 30-0.
Is Rutgers their big? Who's their final game of the season? Is that they give Rutgers the battle for the East Coast?
I'm sure they do.
Is that what
battle for New York?
The expansion.
This is why we brought you in.
You guys went in 2006, and there's a lot of parallels between this season and 2006 in the last couple weeks. So you guys had to go on the road the week before coming back to play Michigan at home in 2006. You went to Northwestern. Crappy place, you won 54-10. Was it difficult to not think ahead, or is there a point in that game when it's halftime and you're up 34-0, and then you go, okay, now we can start looking ahead?
I think you focus on it, heading right into it, and as soon as you feel the game is in hand, you know it's out there. The reality is too, and this is what Tress if you lose this game, then you can still get in, but is that really how you want to handle it? Backing in?
Yeah, limping in at the end of the season.
Now,
the thing that with them is they've been doing this every week. How do we get up for this team? I shouldn't say the last 4 games, but ever since Penn State, basically, right? Iowa wasn't very good. Northwestern wasn't very good. Indiana wasn't very good. So they're getting up and taking care of business. You're at home. They're playing Maryland at home, right?
Nope.
Yeah. No, Maryland's on the road.
It's on the road. All right, so at least you're on the road. Maybe that is something different to get them out of their comfort zone a little bit. Hey, we're on the road, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. But they've been battling and knowing that they have to play. They determine what happens in every game.
I think the difference is internal expectations that and internal motivation that you've been having to find these last few weeks versus now.
It's almost there.
Giant.
It's not going to matter if you lose on Saturday, right? So
I think they want to come out and probably make a statement. That's how usually those things go. It's a chance to come out here and put them away early, get everybody rested, and then we'll start worrying about the game literally as the clock strikes 000.
I guess the most interesting part of the matchup for me is that early in the year, Maryland showed a lot of potential.
Score the ball.
Especially with the passing attack and a willingness to do so. Now that's completely disappeared. Where
did that go?
Well, teams figure out what Mike Loxley's doing, and Tua Tito is a turnover machine, and he's also been injured.
He's been hurt, right?
So, but that happens to them every single year as well. Quarterback issues and keeping them healthy, they put them in harm's way regularly, and then over the course of the year, you see declining results with a bad coach. That's That's common.
Well, I mean, bad's a relative term. They are, 6-4.
Sure. Congratulations to Maryland on their bowl eligibility, and as they'll get to 7 probably next week against Rutgers. Good for them. Although it's not a guarantee.
You want to talk
no
about
guarantee.
punching guys on a
Are
staff.
you just discounting the fight in Schiano's?
Greg Schiano and Mike Lockstead. That might be a fight the world would want to see.
That's quite the. I hope it's at 3:30.
I'd rather watch them fight
than
than
watch
play
it
football.
after the game. Like just a little cool down from one great rivalry to another.
Yeah.
Like my point is, if Maryland plays their best football, then Ohio State's still not had a game yet this year with the full complement of cornerbacks. Got Kamryn Babb back. It was wonderful to see that. He had 2 breakups and one ridiculous mismatch in the end zone on the touchdown that he gave up. 6'6" guy against Cam Brown wasn't great for him. Didn't turn out.
Tackle him.
Yeah.
He's got to tackle him.
Just give up the penalty.
Yep.
And they can go do that again.
Yep.
Not.
Just keep tackling him.
So they executed that. You give them credit for that. But really, Denzel Burke picked up an injury and pregame didn't play. Jordan Hancock had the most extensive workload of the season.
Which is good because
he looked good.
Good-looking player, man.
So you've got those two. And if this is an opportunity this week where I don't think it's a serious situation for Denzel Burke, where those 3 are back, you finally have a week to see, all right, what do you want to do with the rotation between those top 3? How do they match up with Maryland in their passing attack if they are able to throw the ball, which I don't think that they will be able to with their offensive line against JT and Zach and Jack Sawyer. But if I'm just pretending like that could be something we learn on Saturday, I guess that's where I'd look. Berm, you?
To me, the real question is, can Ohio State maintain its control of the line of scrimmage on offense? And that's Maryland, again, is not great, but they do have good athletes on their team. They've recruited well in the last few years. They have not coached them particularly well, but they have recruited fairly well. They lost a number of those guys that they recruited already the transfer portal. We saw Chop Robinson at Penn State, who dominated against Maryland this past weekend. But I just want to see that attitude of you are not better than us. We are going to come out. We are going to do whatever we want. And you're going to have to do that probably with Dallin Hayden and with Chip Traynham because we don't expect Ryan Williams or TreVeyon Henderson to play this week. All right, I don't.
Is Chip going to be in him? He was game time last week, right?
Yeah, I think he's Ryan Day's expectation or explanation on Saturday was that he's not worried about it as a long-term thing, but you don't. I mean, heck, we have
now. It's like,
well, if we could get those 2 in,
now it's go time. Like, I mean, there's not a whole lot of warm bodies over there that are ready. You don't want to bring Trey back sooner than you have to. You need mine to have this week to have a shot playing against Michigan. So yeah, it's Dallin. And then it's
going to have to be Chip,
and
yeah.
maybe some Xavier.
Yeah.
And those are
X-Man. That's
cool. I'm like, did we throw the ball? Because I look down, and all of a sudden he's running in for a score. It's like, oh, no, he was in the backfield. Like, good for him.
Yeah. I think with Dallin, and I mentioned this with Bill on this morning's podcast daily, like there is a lot of talk about Marvin and how he's like a former, son of an NFL great. And like Aaron Hayden, Dallin's dad, played in the NFL for a while too. Like, this guy knows what he's doing out there. He's not a slouch. And people are like surprised, and I'll admit I was one of them. Like I didn't expect him to have this role, but he didn't. There was no path to playing time, but now that he's got it,
there was 3 guys ahead of him before the season, and due to injuries, some long term, short term. Now all of a sudden,
week 11, there's 0 guys ahead.
You look down on the bench. So Chip Traynham was scratched, but he wasn't supposed to be part of that in the first place. Evan Pryor has missed the entire year. He's down there in sweats. TreVeyon is wearing a walking boot, and then by halftime, Mayan Williams now has crutches and a walking boot of his own. So there's your top 3. Even on top of that, so Chip Traynham had to be converted over to linebacker to help with the depth. They thought they'd be able to get that from T.C. Caffey, the walk-on.
Yeah,
then he gets out for the year. It's like I don't remember a concentration of injuries at one spot like Ohio State has had to deal with for the running game. Like part of the reason that it's not clicking the way we all would want to see from Ohio State because they've been hurt for the last 2 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild because when Pryor got hurt, you're like, it's okay. We got Trey and Mike. It's like, man, he could have had such a big year this year if he'd have been healthy.
Oh, I guarantee he looks like, these guys are going down.
I know.
But me having 100.
That's how it goes. Yeah, it's like the luck, right? And everybody's hurt at the same time.
Yeah, that's how it is. So this is a great opportunity to get Chip out there. Dallin, he's been good. Yeah, I don't think they ever, especially against Northwestern, it's like, man, it's a tight game. You put a true freshman in there. If they fumble, and it's not having confidence in the guy. You don't want to put them in a bad position that they really weren't maybe fully prepared to coming in. And if they make a mistake, then all of a sudden the pressure of the world's on them, and you get confidence issues and all kinds of things. So, I think
it took Eddie George like 3 years to recover from a couple fumbles as a freshman.
Oh, listen, that stuff happens all the time. It takes guys some time to mature and be able to have some success. So I think they'll be okay. The biggest thing is if the offensive line's blocking like that, then a lot of people can run the football very well. You don't necessarily need superhuman efforts from the backfield.
All right, the spread is 25, Jay-Z. What do you think is going to happen on Saturday?
I'm going to say 52-3.
52-3.
Yeah.
Gosh, I'm hoping their offense is better. By the way, honorary Buckeye leaf to Justin Fields for rushing for 2 touchdowns, passing for 2 touchdowns.
2 weeks in a row.
Back-to-back weeks.
And then also
then giving another
rushing,
Buckeye a gift at the end to lose the game.
Rushing 100 for 100 yards. And
that's not why they lost game. They lost game because his kicker missed an extra point.
Yeah. I mean, that's the reality. But he's the only player in NFL history to do that. 100 on the ground, 2 through the air, 2 on the ground. I mean, that's a pretty darn impressive day. And you
He's
still
insane.
look around, and he's like the only dude doing anything. It's like watching
plays a circus.
Michael Vick when he had.
It's like playing 2004 Madden when Vick was on there, and it was just a cheat code. Like that's what Justin Fields is.
And I knew that he could do some of that here. I almost wish he would have done a little more of that when he played here. He didn't need to necessarily, but it's fun to watch, man. When you got a dude who is like, and he's
not
big.
running an entire defense as a big cat. I mean,
he's strong. Like he has strong legs.
You could see sometimes there were 2 of those runs, one especially against Miami, where he just kind of stepped up in the pocket and he was like, I'm still trying to make. I want to throw. And he's like, all right, fine.
Yeah,
if you want me
You're
to,
gonna make me run.
67 yards.
I think he surprises people how fast he is.
I'm out of here. Yeah.
Well, because when you have legs that are that big, like it doesn't look like you're taking up as much ground as you are. But, I mean, he gobbles up ground like the caliphate out there, dude. Just unclaimed property all over the place. And it's awesome. It's awesome. He is great. My score, so I want to make sure I got that in there. Just so taking care of our guy, Justin. He didn't get the win, but Berm's Lions got a victory.
Man,
Dan Campbell.
Every week, they're just on the edge, and his team continues to find ways to not help him.
It's a little bit of a rough situation, to say the least.
Trying to boost those draft picks.
That kid Paris also had a big day yesterday, so happy for him. Jeff Saturday getting his first win.
Did he just
first
turn
win as a
21
coach?
Yeah, Paris celebrated by having his first drink ever at 21. After his 4th year in the NFL, because he got here at 14 years old, basically. I think he was 16 when he came to school.
That's nuts.
That's
so
real
young.
life. So he's like in his 4th year in 22 somehow, or 23. But I'm probably liking it, I'll say 56-13.
56-13.
45
Do we get to see more Kyle McCord?
to 17. I hope so.
I mean,
but I
we're
don't
going
think so.
kind of back home-ish. It's closer.
I don't think so. I mean, 45-17 the way I see it. I don't think it's going to be that. I don't think it's going to be a 42-0 game at half, which is what I think you need in that situation for Ohio State to just say, CJ, you're sitting. This is a big week for the Ohio State offense to put up, hopefully, some numbers for CJ.
I mean, 5 touchdowns and 300 yards is
but
paltry.
It's average.
I know, it is. I get it.
Standard.
So, 45-17, and I said it all year. I think this is going to be the week when you finally see someone return a kick against Ohio State for a touchdown.
Why do you want to see that?
I don't
so
want
bad,
to.
Herb?
I just you just see that there's a.
You don't think Parker's doing a good
there.
job out there?
I don't know what the problem is. Somehow there's some tackling issues happening on kick return.
I see guys make good tackles.
I wrote in my 5 questions this week.
Five burners.
Yes, that should Ohio State just stop trying to return punts?
Yes.
I'm half joking.
Put Kamryn Martinez back there. For once.
Nobody. I mean, look,
just come
that's
after
the
him
first
and let
time
the
that
ball
they came
go.
after one all year, and Lathan blocked it. And they've had repeated issues muffing the football. They went, if their depth chart is once Emeka's out, then Reese Stocksdale is doing it. That's not going to work because he muffed 2 of them on Saturday. They've also had issues with short punts and touching the football, the poison pill. Emeka's tried to catch them over his shoulder.
That's the best.
Why take any of the risk? Like, what is the downside for Ohio State if they don't field it and you're up to the bounce of the ball? Who cares? You have the most explosive offense in the country. The yardage makes no difference. The upside of going after it and flipping the field, Bob.
You don't want to be a momentum. It could be a momentum mover though by getting one down there.
The yardage is inconsequential in many of these games, but against good teams, the yardage will not be inconsequential. You can't just afford to give up 20 extra yards by not fielding punts.
Yeah,
I think it has to be considered because if
you don't want to give up the ball,
if you
by
turn
trying
it
to catch
over,
it.
that's worse than losing 20 yards.
It is, but I mean, if you can't find a guy to be able to catch a punt, they have them out there.
What if, like, let's say the Jackson Smith and Jigba returns for Michigan. Let's say he's not 100%. Can you just put him out there just to catch punts?
Or catch punts? Okay.
Just fair catch him?
Maybe.
Who was it? Jacob Hester. He played as running back, and he goes, they would put me in there. End of game situation, like, you don't
just
run
field
it.
it.
Just field it.
Just catch it.
Just field
And
it.
it's not an easy thing to do.
It's very hard.
Let's be clear. It's a very difficult thing to do.
Fielding punts is the hardest thing to do in the game of football.
Yeah, you just are seeing guys on the Ohio State roster who are taking the most difficult task, like individual play in football, and finding ways to make it harder on themselves by running the wrong direction, trying to catch it like a pass. We saw Saturday with
the overhead catch is really
that's wild, right?
Stockdale,
you're running around and you're just like, oh, I'm just gonna go over that.
The second one on Saturday, Stockdale dropped. He tried to like reach out and catch it while kneeling down on his knees.
It's not gonna get it done
with a guy right in front of him. Just back out of the way.
I like Reese Stockdale a lot. He's one of the guys who's out there with Marvin on the Monarch machine every week. He works really hard. I think he's probably going to wind up at a MAC school and be doing the same things that Sam Wiggles is doing for Ohio this year.
How about that?
He's got the potential to do that, and I'm fully on board with that. But Ohio State recruits at one of the 2 or 3 highest levels in the country, and they have 85 scholarship players. Let's remove the offensive lineman and the defensive lineman, but you can't find literally anybody else to field a punt.
Hartline could catch him.
I don't think he's eligible to do it.
He's got a COVID year.
He's got a COVID year.
Yeah, he gets a COVID year.
All right, so put Hart back out there and let him.
You didn't give your score prediction.
Yeah, you said it wasn't going to be 42-0.
45-17.
Well, it will be 42-0 at halftime.
Okay.
I take your score.
I drink your milkshake.
You said it's not going to be this at halftime. It'll be this.
63.
Wow.
2-6.
Hey,
Ohio State.
That's a win.
It's a lot on Big Mike right there.
Gets past Big Mike Loxley, Forrest Whitaker, whoever he is on the sideline. He'll be punching assistants when that one's over, looking for somebody else to blame. We'll see how it goes. I can't wait for the road trip over there this week with the
some
boys.
crab cakes.
Yeah, and no, this
cream and crab
soup.
Gotta find it.
He gets so mad because I look for the road beers locations and they
He's
don't generally have
soups.
Yeah, most breweries don't carry cream of crab soup. It's weird.
The first time that we traveled together there, he was so mad
because I had found it the year prior. Or the trip prior, and I was like, "Yeah, I got to at least make this stop." I'm fine with it. Yeah, it's okay.
Is there good? Are there good lodging locations over there? Dining?
Not great. So we don't stay in College Park because it turns out it's like a major commuter campus. There's nothing to do there. We got the 4 worst road trips that you could take this year. There's no atmosphere at Maryland whatsoever. The Buckeyes themselves are going to be getting dressed outside in November because they have a closet that's about 10 square feet. They're getting taped outside.
They have training tables.
It's worse than North Texas.
It's worse than Northwest. They have training tables that are outside.
Well, they were only in debt like $30 million when they joined the Big Ten. They were like UCLA. They had to come like hat in hand to join so they could finish building facilities.
Poverty football programs.
Well, to be fair,
we're very generous here.
We haven't seen their facility since Under Armour paid for the upgrade since we were there 2 years ago. So maybe
but they were building all the basketball stuff. They don't care about football.
They built that giant turtle.
Didn't Under Armour have to declare bankruptcy too? I'm sure they stopped that project. I don't know.
That'd be weird. That'd be wild if you just had like a giant shellless turtle instead of
a shellless turtle.
Couldn't finish it
anyway.
I mean, is there a way that we can get some sort of Terrabuck or something like that? We've got the Illabuck,
oh god,
which has
2 different versions.
We have tell me a reason why there's a turtle involved with Illinois, but these are actually the Terrapins. So we could probably have some sort of.
Isn't it a shame that we're not going to get to see the Yellow Buck on the line in Indianapolis?
That hurts me because I wanted to have that thing out there. I was going to bring it to the game.
It's much more of a shame that we may end up, if Ohio State takes care of business, having to have a rematch against Iowa.
What would have been ideal is if Northwestern would have done their part and won, all 7 teams would have still been mathematically alive heading into week 11, which that doesn't even make sense considering Northwestern would have had 2 wins.
2 wins, yeah.
Parity.
Catch the fever in the Big Ten West.
Parity or just poverty?
I mean, it feels like a fever.
Both. Anyway,
let's go home.
Saturday, 3:30, Ohio State, Maryland. Can't wait for it. Hope you have a great week. We appreciate Nicole Cox and Roosters for having us in here for a fun, casual chat at a fun, casual joint. That's Jay-Z, Bob, Berm.
Let's get the week over.
I'm Austin. Enjoy your week. Next Monday, we'll be back, and it'll be time to get ready for the game. See you then.